Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to The Left Hook. I am your host, Mark Bland, and I am excited for us to talk on this beautiful Saturday morning, every single Saturday, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. Central Standard Time at News Radio, KRLL.info. That's right, KRLL.info. That's News Radio, KRLL.info. Or you can hear us at WIBH Radio or any of the other CBS Radio News. There's no more CBS News Radio. There's no CBS Radio anymore, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, you're listening to me on radio. Yes, our station is a CBS affiliate. So there's that relationship there. But beyond that, there's no more CBS News Radio. That's all gone after last week. Barry Weiss got rid of that entire department. I've been at March Madness, hanging out, talking to people, seeing people. I even ran into a St. Louisan whose reputation for politics is known in the area. But it's known in the wrong ways. You see, they don't literally talk about the conversations he has with people higher on the food chain than himself. And so I ran into this individual and abruptly put him in his place because there will be none of that local yokel crap going on around me when I talk real politics. And he tried to bring that up, and I was like, that's not even a real show. Nobody cares about that. Like, that's just stop. Don't do that again. That's what happened. I've been dealing with a lot of things like that. A lot of people have come back and said to me that so-and-so or so-and-so on their Facebook feeds or so-and-so on their Instagram or so-and-so on their this or that, they're all changing. They're all anti-Trump now. They're all, it used to be a year ago, go, Gadget Arms. You remember that? That's right. That was Inspector Gadget. There used to be a lot of that going on, and now there's a whole bunch of, well, I really wish we hadn't gone and done that. My gas is really expensive and all this. And we're going to talk about all these things because Trump is losing a step every week. They think that the schedule that he keeps is one of those things that's just amazing. No, it's not. The schedule he keeps is horrible. He's up at like 3 a.m. in the morning ripping off tweets to people. He should be sleeping, getting some sleep. He probably doesn't sleep on the plane trips. We can see that he's constantly doing interviews and conversations with everybody in the media. But he's not winning the war in Iran. For another week in a row, we're talking about the war in Iran. Here it is. We're back to the Iraq war. By 2007, most of us weren't even discussing the Iraq war anymore. We were done with it. That was just people overseas living in military bases in the Middle East. That's what that became. But we have an issue right now. You see, we are in the middle of a war with Iran, and we are not winning that war with Iran. And I want to win this war with Iran simply because now I'm in the middle of a war with Iran. I'm spending a ton of money on the war with Iran, which is all of our money for taxpayer dollars. And if we're not winning and we're not benefiting, I need to either win so that America is strong and looks good and this, that, and the other, or I need to get the hell out of there. Get the hell out of there does not seem like an option that's on the table for Donald Trump. He keeps pushing this issue, and it's because Benjamin Netanyahu, and we talked about this on the show multiple times over the last few weeks, purposely pulled the strings and puppeted Trump into starting this war with Iran. A war he thought that Israel was going to come in from behind him and immediately just start hammering them down and taking care of business. I had a Jewish man, a man who is of deep Jewish religion and belief, ask me, whoa, you think it's okay if we just go just mow all those people down in Iran with all of our Israeli airstrikes and military ability? I say, I'd love to see any of it. He got mad real quick. Oh, well, we're not going to show our hand until we have to. No, bro, it don't work this way. We don't throw the first punch, and then you stand there while we take all the punches. No, bro, we said we throw the first punch. You said you jump in. Now you're a target. America might need to turn their missiles on Israel. Maybe Israel needs to just deal with the Strait of Hormuz and everything going on. See, that's a problem for America. We already started this war with Iran. We can't just back out now on this Strait of Hormuz deal, or else they're just going to jack all of our prices up. And America, who already has no allies, everybody hates us. Everything that I can play on this show, there's literally no clips of any other country going, this war with Iran is going so well and we're so proud to be a part of it. No one has any air clips of any of that. No one in America, no one around the world or the earth. There's no one in this world that is on Donald Trump's side with this Strait of Hormuz and this Iran war. The only person is Benjamin Netanyahu in Israel. Well, I think it's time for Israel to handle their business. When is Israel going to start bombing things? When is Israel going to start using their military in conjunction with the United States of America to handle these situations with Iran? And if we're bombing constantly, Trump, if we're bombing constantly, and we're hitting them like they've never seen before, because that's come out of your mouth like a gajillion times now. If that's all going on, then why are they still able to shoot at us? Why are they still able to fly their jets and bomb the Golden Dome in Israel and do this and do that? Why is Iran still able to fight and destroy our military bases in other parts of the Middle East so people don't even have a bed to sleep in or their clothing? Like, this is out of control. We went from everything's fine, a bunch of allies to no allies, starting a war that just raised all of our prices worse than Joe Biden ever could. Joe Brandon's. Oh my God. Bring back bring back Brandon. Bring back NASCAR Brandon. Bring it back. Because it's $1 cheaper for gas. It costs us a lot less for our military budget, which, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, if there's one thing that did come out of this entire situation that needs to be focused on moving forward for the United States of America as a damn nation, we were horribly lied to by Halliburton and Dick Cheney and all of those men when they were resetting up our munitions out of the Iraq war. They charged us an arm and a leg for a bunch of missiles that did nothing. We learned that you could have done it for a lot cheaper, $30,000 to $50,000 per missile, if you had just reached out on a telephone and asked some people some questions. They're doing it in states where they have just black market affiliations, and they're able to get $30,000 drones. You can't. America, you are being taken advantage of. Yes, Donald Trump is right. Financially, that's it. It's just financial. You're still the biggest military, still the best country, still put out the best music, we are still all the things that we truly believe we are. And the rest of the earth used to have and feels bad that they lost. We still those things. We just got to get back to doing that and not worrying about dumb things like Donald Trump's got us on. These fever dream reality chase downs. That we're going to do this, or we're going to do that, but these guys ain't going to help, or those guys ain't going to help. It's crazy. This is where we live now, ladies and gentlemen. This is what we deal with. I want you to listen to something that's important. I think that I want everyone to hear this. But this is a gentleman, former U.S. ambassador, who went on TV, Daniel Fried. And this is what he had to say about the entire situation. And former U.S. ambassador, a guy who's dealt with the Middle East and this part of the world and the Strait of Hormuz and conversations about this stuff hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and gajillions of times. Let's see what he has to say.
But ask yourself, what then? If this war becomes about opening the Strait of Hormuz, we've already lost because the Strait of Hormuz is only closed because we started the war. We started the war for the purpose of regime change or obliterating Iran's military, and we have not succeeded in doing that. So the president is improvising, which is another way of saying making it up. Starting a war is to enter a dark cave. You never know what you're going to find. We're still in that cave.
He's right, ladies and gentlemen. He's 100% right. We're still in that dark cave. We don't know. When you listen, when you enter into a war, usually there's a plan or concepts of a plan. Once again, he makes it up as he goes along. The guy said it right there. He's in the middle of a situation where he's making it up as he's going along because he doesn't know what to do now. You see, now the war is about getting the Strait of Hormuz open, but the only reason that it was closed in the first place is because we struck Iran. Because the day before Iran was struck, the Strait of Hormuz was working perfectly fine. The rest of the world was trading through the Strait of Hormuz. The United States was trading through the Strait of Hormuz. Everybody was living their lives. And Iran wasn't bombing any countries. Iran wasn't attacking anyone. Remember, it was a gut feeling. You made that up. And then you made this up. And then you made that up. Dude, you're just a lying, fat piece of trash. Donald Trump, the President of the United States of America, on this radio show and this station right now, is the biggest piece of trash in American history. Literally, there has never been a worse president to ever sit in his position. All 50 plus or 47 presidents. 47 presidents, and there hasn't been a worse one, including the Civil War presidents. Their country was already broken apart when the Civil War started. They were already in two pieces. There was a North and a South. One was the seceded states, one was the United States, where they seceded from. They decided to do battle, but only after time. Time was put into, efforts were put into, conversations were had. States had to make whole decisions to secede from unions. That takes months and time. Do you see, even the people in the past weren't just idiots because they were Republican and they were just like, or Democrat, and they were just, oh, we're just going to do this. No, they planned out things too. Donald Trump doesn't make plans. Donald Trump has so much money, he just spends it. And he does whatever he thinks. And then wherever the mistakes are made, he just fixes those with Band-Aids and calls that a day. Well, right now, the Strait of Hormuz is closed. The United States is getting jacked on their gas prices and everything else. It's hurting the world economy. We have not won the Iran war, as that gentleman said. And you are still sitting there in your Midwestern house wondering if things are ever going to be like Donald Trump said. America first. Brand new this, great things for America. Nope, all you hear is the word Iran a lot. Do you live anywhere near Iran? You're fat, you're white. You live in the Midwest. Do you live anywhere near Iran? Well, then Iran isn't you. You are wherever you live, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to have to take a quick break on this show coming up here in a second. But you really need to think about what I'm saying. You make these decisions to help your bank account, but then you turned around and lost probably 10 grand in gas value alone this year. 10 grand. You went from last year saving $10,000 more than you will this year on gas. Simply because you wanted Donald Trump and not the black lady. Because the black lady's black and you don't like black where you live. Got it. You don't like Iranians either. You don't like anybody from any of these places. But now you're paying an arm and a leg, and Joe Biden's not around to blame anymore. Your Facebook feed isn't full of Joe Biden hate. So what are you going to do? maybe it's time to turn your ire towards the person involved, Donald Trump. We'll be back on the show right after this. Welcome back to the show. My name's Mark Bland. You can follow me at markbland.net. That's MarkBland.net. MarkBland.net. That's where you can find old episodes, new episodes, and everything in between about the left hook and all of our great guests that we have on here, including that former co-host of mine, Jason Call, who we eventually will get back on the show at some point. We are in the middle of discussing the Strait of Hormuz and Iran and how America is not running properly. Ladies and gentlemen, we've been talking about how Trump has stolen years of your lives. He's poisoned your families, your friendships, your communities. He's turned Americans against each other. Humiliated us on the world stage. There's nobody in the world. Listen, he started an Iran war. He had to go beg NATO and UN countries to jump in and try to help us, and they all told him no. All of our allies, including Great Britain, England, the country we started from, that we love more than anything on this earth, England, where our families are from. They told the Americans to go shove it. Yeah. We've weakened our allies and our alliances while our enemies celebrate, guys. I mean, he treated a 250-year democracy like his personal property. Think about this. We're supposed to be celebrating our birthday of 250 years this year, and it's supposed to be a fun time where everybody gets together and has a good time. It's going to be all about Trump making it about Trump. The 250th anniversary of America is going to be not about America at all. It's going to be nothing like 1976. It's all going to be about Donald Trump. You can see it happening. You can see it coming. And it's wild that we pretend like this is something that, oh, it's just out of control. It came out of nowhere. This is why you never hand power to a malignant narcissist. Not in politics, not at work, not at your home, not anywhere. You just don't give a narcissist power. A true narcissist, not somebody you think just thinks a lot of themselves. No. A true narcissist has deeper issues beyond the stuff you see on just the upper crust. You have to understand that. It's a deeper, in their heart. It's in their, they hide it in their head and behind the scenes. They don't let you know that that's all they care about is power and money and this and that. But Donald Trump never shied away from showing us all these things. Half of our country, or at least 1/3 of it, decided we love that. And just like I said, the first time he became president in 2016, this wasn't a referendum ever on Donald Trump and Republicans being better for politics and America than anything. This was a referendum on being an a-hole, being an ass and getting away with it and saying mean, ruthless things. Well, the problem now is it seems like dribble time Donnie's gotten to pudding time in his life. It's pudding time and time to send him to the old folks home. Yeah, he needs some tapioca pudding because he's dribbling out there. This man is barely saying coherent sentences. He's now just making stuff up with a war. A war that we were just talking about had missiles that were way overpriced, sold to the Americans, and now we'll fix that problem. We're going to go get affordable, good, quality missiles and ammunitions for our United States military. It's not just going to be Peter Thiel saying, I can do it. Hey, if you can do it, go find a gay husband. In fact, I don't even know. Does Peter Thiel have a husband? I want to know, does Peter Thiel have a husband? Let's find out. Peter Thiel, they're not. I asked Peter Thiel husband, and evidently no one. Yes, he has a spouse from 2017, Matt. He is married. There's a guy that deals with that. Think about that. You're Peter Thiel's husband. First off, you think everything Donald Trump thinks is the greatest thing on earth. If he says, murder that baby, I hate those people right there, the whole earth points along with him at that house and says, we agree with you, Donald Trump. This guy is one of those guys. You have to kiss him on his cheek and tell him he's sweet and that you love him. He wants everybody's money to be just gone. He doesn't care about the middle class. You love the middle class. You love kittens too. He's supposed to be cute, and you're supposed to think he's a sweet guy. But the problem is, he keeps murdering babies. Oh, Jesus, this is such a hard thing to deal with. No, it's not. You leave. Now, obviously, in this case, I don't think that his husband agrees with the liberal or democratic side of things at all. Or maybe not even the moderate side of things like me. Like, it's very possible that that man is just 100% Republican like Peter Thiel is. That's fine. So be it. But we don't need those people in our country and lives anymore. When I say that these are the types of things that need to be eradicated, I mean this. That's not just me saying some word that you're like, he just said eradication. No. This Republican mentality needs to be eradicated. It needs to be gotten rid of. This idea of I'm going to just go start shit and not care, that right there. Because other people's lives are intertwined. The Strait of Hormuz was in play. And we're not winning the war with the Strait of Hormuz. It's crazy, ladies and gentlemen. You think I'm nuts. You think I'm the weird one because I'm sitting here on a microphone talking to all of you on this CBS radio station. And you're like, I can't believe they would put someone like this on there. I can't believe you put someone like that in the White House. You can turn your radio off. I won't cost you a single dime. That man lost you 12% of your 401k already. Already. Every moment with the war is worse. Donald Trump's got us into a war he can't get us out of. And that's where we're at. And every time he turns around, he's like, they're begging us to make a deal. Oh, they want a deal so bad, and we've destroyed them so much. We've just destroyed everything. Their military, their regime, their this. Let's talk about that regime. You see, that guy said, if it was about, that guy said on the audio before we went to break, he said if it was about the Strait of Hormuz, well, the only reason the Strait of Hormuz is closed is because we started the war with Iran. So let's talk about that. If we don't start the war with Iran, we don't close the Strait of Hormuz. If Benjamin Netanyahu and Israel didn't push Donald Trump to start the war with Iran, we wouldn't be in the situation that we're in right now. That's it. That's where we're at. We're in the, if we just didn't do this, that wouldn't have happened. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to pay attention to that. To that simple thing right there. If we just didn't do this, that wouldn't have happened. This is becoming what the Donald Trump presidency is. Yes, for every $5 million gold card that he's going to sell to all these terrorists to let them into our country, right? There's also going to be, I'm going to bomb Iran. Now, neither one of these stories are a good idea, but a $5 million gold car or a ballroom that's going to be attached to the White House is expensive and a problem and problematic for all of us as Americans, but it's not on the same level as you're going to close the Strait of Hormuz, jack all of our 401, or you're going to screw up all of our 401k prices and make the Dow go plunging towards the ground. At the same time, jacking up all of our gas prices and the cost of our goods from around the world because we screwed this all up. They hate us. They're hitting us with tariffs and everything. By the way, if you're a country that wants to use tariffs against another country, you're going to throw a 50% tariff on America for starting a war with Iran and raising your other prices 30 to 50%. Do you see? Do you see how none of it's under Donald Trump's control? But he could choose whether to put out a gold card or to do a ballroom. Once he lets the cat out of the bag on Iran, guys, let's talk about this for a quick second. Iran has already been put into play. They have already killed the Ayatollah. Now, it's not the first time that the Ayatollah has gone down from Iran or different places in the Middle East, but this is an Ayatollah that was murdered by the United States military. Iran is not going to be a fan of America anytime soon. That is over with. We screwed that up. We're going to have to work really hard to get their trust back. We're going to have to work really hard to get a lot of people's trust back in the Middle East. Because not only did we mess up our stuff with the Strait of Hormuz, we really screwed up their oil productions, and we screwed up their ability to export their oil and their energies through the Strait of Hormuz. And a lot of those countries around that area use the Strait of Hormuz as one of their main arteries to get things out. It messed up a lot of other people's stuff. So he gave a bunch of other people ballrooms and stupid $5 million gold cards that they weren't expecting, all thanks to Donald Trump, a gift from Donald Trump. But just like every gift from Donald Trump, they didn't want it. They threw it away. You shouldn't want it. You should get rid of it. It's a gift from Donald Trump. It's poisonous. Everything that man does is poison. There is nothing. He literally is just oozing poison. And if you're in that trajectory around him, if you're one of the people that orbits around Donald Trump and his presidency like a Pete Hegseth, that poison's in your blood. Remember when he said their blood poisons us and all that? Like he started talking about the Hitler type. Their blood's in our blood and it's poisoning our blood. They're the poisoner. He started talking about all that stuff. Guys, every accusation is an admission of guilt. We've said it. Me and Jason have said that on this show now for 10 years. 10 years, multiple radio stations, Occupy Democrats, top of the food chain, bottom of the food chain, doesn't matter. We've said on this show many times, every accusation is an admission of guilt. Well, here's another case. And it only gets worse, guys. Nothing ever gets better. When was the last time we came on this show to discuss politics and there wasn't one topic with 4,000 pieces of baloney being thrown at? I mean, you guys don't understand. As a person who pays attention to politics, in one 6-hour period that I witnessed with my own eyes, from doing research at the time that it was happening, Donald Trump came in and said, we need their help. Then he turned around and 20 minutes later said, we don't need their help. They suck. They all can just go kick off. Nobody cares. Then he's like, well, we're going to make a deal with Iran. They're coming to the table. They're begging us. Then it was, nobody wants to talk to us, so we're just going to do all this on our own. And I think our next move is to bomb them worse than they've ever been bombed before. And it's like, yeah, he's making it up, ladies and gentlemen, like that man said earlier on that audio clip. He's making it up as he goes along. And that's it. He's making it up as he goes along. He's not talking to anyone in Iran. Iran's already gone on their national media and state media and said, we're not talking to Donald Trump. We don't have nothing to do with that guy. We don't want to take his phone call. We don't care. Donald Trump's like, oh, I'm talking to him. Oh, they've got me negotiating. Oh, we got him right where we want him. No, nobody's talking to Donald Trump. Guys, this is crazy. Now, by the time you hear this, maybe the war's over. Maybe it's not. I don't know. But what I do know is that The Strait of Hormuz is not open. I know that Donald Trump has spent the majority of his presidency not helping us get cheaper anything or America First or any of the stuff that he said. And you guys are worse for the wear when it's all said and done. We're going to take a break here on the show. We'll be back right after this.
Memories follow me left and right. I can feel you over here, I can feel you over here. You take up every corner of my mind. What you gonna do now? Ever since the day.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to The Left Hook with Mark Bland. No guest today. Sometimes we don't have a guest. We don't need a guest, ladies and gentlemen. Having a co-host, not necessary. They don't bring as much to the table as you think they do. They don't. None of them listen. All these people that have been on or a part of, and you think they're super duper supportive, and they've always got Mark Bland's back, they're not listening to this show right now. My former co-hosts do not share my show, and they don't care to. And it's because they make things up in their mind. Now, they're all in chats with me. They're all friends with me. They all talk to me every day. But they're not on the shows every week because they don't want to be. Or they make up their excuses. It doesn't matter. I don't need a co-host. We don't need those people in our lives. We don't need them to be around us or to be a part of the conversation. They're not important in that regard. That's my opinion. I'll tell them that there to their face. They can hear it if they listen to the show right here, but nobody ever does any of that stuff. Who's any of them? So I'm talking to the others that do listen to the show. We don't need a co-host. That's all I'm saying. I don't mind if there's one there, but we don't need a co-host. We just don't. Have you ever heard of conversational narcissism? It's when someone turns every conversation back to themselves. Weird. Experts say it's not driven only by ego. Sometimes it's insecurity and anxiety. Well, there was somebody who was on this show at some point in the last 15 years, because that's how long this show's been going. Well, not this show. This show has only been going on for 30 episodes, like a few months. I'm talking about my overall last 15 years of politics and political talk, the Q now and everything. There were many different people that were on those shows. A lot of guys that I appreciate and think are great human beings that were my co-hosts. Now, there's nobody who's ever been my co-host who I'm like, that's a horrible human being. Nobody. All my co-hosts were picked for the reasons I picked them. They were those good of people. They were that good at what they did. But some of them kind of fall into this category we're talking about right here, ladies and gentlemen. Conversational narcissism. You always try to turn the conversations back to themselves. And they couldn't do it live on the air, but off the air, they would do it all the time. It was always about where they're going, what they're doing, how they're being handled, if people are focusing on them or noticing them. I don't talk about politics at my house with my children as much as you might think I do. I don't discuss politics and religion in public places like you probably think. I walk around the town square just screaming at people. No. This is it. I do this show. I post a couple of things throughout the week on social media that you can read at Mark Bland on Twitter. MarkBland. That's it. That's the extent of it. That's how I got found. I'm not trying to be Nick Fuentes. I'm not trying to be everybody that's Brooklyn Dad. Oh my God. These Brooklyn Dad and them, they want to be famous so bad it's ridiculous. They can't find a camera fast enough all the time. And it's funny to me because in 2010, there was no Brooklyn Dad. In 2010, there was no Grant Stern. In 2010, there was no Ron Filbakowski doing what he's doing now. There was Mark Bland talking politics liberally in the Midwest. When I was talking about the Tea Party attacking people at midterm voting booths and places, there was no one from Occupy Anything, Raj or Omar. These people didn't exist. I was talking politics. You can ask Tony Cabral. Tony Cabral's been on this show since the early days. He knows in 2010 I was talking politics on this show. There were people that were on a radio station with me in 2011. They were talking politics with me at that time. I've been talking politics for a while. This is my show. It's not conversational narcissism if it's your own show. Sorry, you built your own show. But I built it to talk politics, ladies and gentlemen. That's what I do. And I try to get you guys to talk some politics. But I heard about this conversational narcissism, and when I found out kind of how it ran, I was like, oh my God, this falls into certain people I know. Certain things that they do. The world's getting weird, ladies and gentlemen. What do you think of this trend? Some couples are passing on expensive engagement rings and opting to spend the money on a vacation instead. It's not even an early honeymoon, it's an engagement trip where they go spend the money on an engagement trip and they just go on a 1-week trip around the Caribbean on a cruise. Or they go over to England and they go on a big family vacation they've never been on before or whatever. Like, they're spending their money not on engagement rings, because physical property that you could point at and keep raising the price of because you just choose to do that is becoming so ridiculous that they can't afford the rings. Now think about it. The ring means more at the end of life. See, now I'm 50 years old and I've been married for over 20 years. So when I make these comments, I'm like using experience and a long time passing and the background of what it is to like justify or not justify why this exists. I understand this. You see, the ring's more important, in my opinion. You should get the ring because the ring will still be there, even on sick days, days where you don't take trips, things like that. The ring will always be there that you gave her before you ever got married. That representation of what you wanted it to mean is there before, and it will be there on her deathbed or on your deathbed. It'll be there, and they can see it with their eyes. They know it meant something. They can't see the trip you guys took. And by the way, young people will take young people style trips. You'll go spend $5,000 on something that nobody else will and think that it was amazing. But it wasn't amazing. 65% of people say the engagement rings have evolved from a symbol of love to a financial burden. And 26% of Gen Zers would rather pass on an expensive ring and just go on an engagement trip altogether. Do you understand, ladies and gentlemen? Even couples during Donald Trump's presidency aren't buying wedding rings because they're too expensive. Nothing about Donald Trump's America is the way it was before when Joe Biden or any other president, including Donald Trump in his first term, existed. It's the 47 presidents before Donald Trump and what life was like coming up in those worlds and what we have now. They're different things. And America doesn't want to be this crazy, out of control waste of money that Donald Trump has us right now. Yeah, I just went on a big rant about Donald Trump off of stupid, idiotic situations that are being affected now for young people. And do you think that young people didn't see their mom and dad's wedding rings on their hands growing up and go, oh, I really wish? It's not that they couldn't go get a ring. Right? See, think about it. We're going to make all of our diamond things look like their wedding rings, so everything diamond has to be a wedding ring. And the kids are like, well, just don't tell them what we're shopping for the ring for. Just go in and buy a ring that you really like, and we'll call that your wedding ring. And now we don't have to worry about getting the super most expensive one. We can just get the one we think represents who we are. Except for it's just not the same, guys. They're not buying the wedding ring before the wedding. They're not putting it on each other's... They're not doing those things. Now, it used to be you couldn't really afford an engagement trip. Imagine if you have so much money, Gen Z, who's got it so bad, that you can afford to go on a pre-honeymoon trip for a week in the Caribbean to not buy the ring, but then you're going to have the wedding in front of everybody in October. You've already told everybody and put all of the things out, so you're going to go get a ring for that thing, and it might not be a really expensive ring. Do you see? They have enough money to take trips and buy the ring. Not just buy the ring or a trip or the honeymoon. You see, you got to understand, for a lot of people, it was get the ring or a honeymoon trip. Do you know how many people didn't go on their honeymoon simply because the rings or whatever it was that set up their love and their life cost so much? It's crazy. You guys have enough money to go on the trip and to get the ring. But you claim the world is so much more expensive now. They're right. To just go buy a wedding ring, it's like 10 grand. I'm not putting myself 10 grand in debt just to get something that should cost, I don't know, less than $500. It's a band of metal. It sticks on their finger. Sometimes it's bad metal and it turns it yellow and makes them pissed off, or green and makes them unhappy. Do you understand? America's not the way it was. We just aren't. We just aren't where we used to be in the world. And I find that really wild, ladies and gentlemen. I find it almost unbearable to deal with. And one last thing before we get out of here. USPS, the United States Postal Service, which Donald Trump has wasted so much time creating problems with the mail-in ballots for the 2020 election, as well as he tried with the 2024 election, but he wasn't in charge. We know he's going to do it with the 2026 midterms because he's already talking about it. He's already making moves. Guys, he can't stand that other people don't like him. And he thinks that mail-in ballots are the problem. But the USPS, that's right, the United States Postal Service, is going to have to impose its first ever 8% surcharge on packages to cover rising cost of fuel. Well, the United States Postal Service existed with Joe Biden as president just a couple of years ago. They didn't need to charge a 8% surcharge for fuel. But that's not what this is, ladies and gentlemen. And the United States Postal Service doesn't need to do that because they can handily afford to fill up all of their cars and get all of your mail delivered to all of your houses. This is another attempt at another arm of the United States government, which technically I don't think it falls completely under the government, using this time period in history to their advantage to get away with setting something up, creating something that never has to go backwards. Like right now, if I was Denny's, think about Denny's, right? They've always talked about their Grand Slam specials, right? They've been talking about them for decades and decades. Everybody knows what a Grand Slam is. But everybody's gotten Grand Slams at different price points over the years. This would be when Denny should go, the $10 Grand Slam. It's everything you've ever wanted. $10 Grand Slam. What used to be 2 is now 10. But every year moving forward from now on, everyone's always going to think a $10 Grand Slam is the cheapest, most affordable Grand Slam you can get. Well, I just want to let you all know that there was cheaper gas, cheaper groceries, less wars, and less problems under Barack Obama, George Bush, Bill Clinton, George H.W. Bush, Ronald Reagan, Jimmy Carter, Richard Nixon, Ford, Kennedy. You just keep going back, ladies and gentlemen. And as far as America goes, right here where we're at, we had none of those issues with those presidents. This guy needs to go. That's going to do it for us on this episode of The Left Hook. Follow me at Mark Bland on Twitter, or you can go to markbland.net, markbland.net, to follow me, old episodes, new episodes about The Left Hook Show, The Old Q, all my old co-hosts, all the people we talked about on the show today, and all the other great things. That's going to do it for us. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for giving me your time. I appreciate it, and I appreciate you. Let's put America first. Have a great week, and we'll see you guys next time on the show.